on the flip side where we catch ourselves being too reserved.
Yeah.
If we are, a more strong personality, how do we show up more as ourselves?
Everyone, and welcome to this episode of No Limits. I am here again with my trusty sidekick, the marvelous Miss Mendoza. And so hi. How you doing?
Great. How are you?
I am great.
We're ready to jump in.
We're ready to jump in. So here's what we're tackling today.
Okay.
I'm calling it Fear of the Edges.
Yes.
And I've got a book we're working on that's coming out this summer called You're Not For Everyone. And in the book,
so
the subtitle is
book.
though, but you can be for everyone. So I don't want anybody to think this is like, all right, just cut people off, because I still think you can be supportive of people.
Yes.
But also they not be your people.
Right.
So in the book, one of the things I really dive into, and I'm really anxious to hear your feedback, is what I call the fear of the edges. Because I feel like so many times when we're trying to please people and be for everyone and just be all things to all people, we kind of round ourselves out.
Yes.
Do you see that in your own life or in other? You got a little grin, so
yes.
There's something going on in that head of yours.
Okay, so will you read the quote?
Okay,
let's
start with this. And
yes.
Most of you guys listening have probably heard this quote before, and I'll post it too because I just love it. It's by Danielle Laporte, who's another coach that works with a lot of women. I just love this quote. It's stuck with me for years, but here's how it reads. You will always be too much of something for someone, too big, too loud, too soft, too edgy. If you round out your edges, you lose your edge. Apologize for mistakes. Apologize for unintentionally hurting someone profusely, but don't apologize for being who you are. That's like a cool quote. I mean, I think that's another one of our T-shirts we need to have made.
This is true.
But the quote says so much, like so much, because I see this. I don't know that I noticed it until probably the last 10 years, maybe, that how much I was rounding out my edges and how much I was kind of trying to be, I don't want to say less than, but maybe quieter or maybe just a little I was forgetting the extra. I wasn't given the extra.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself doing that?
So many ways I could go with this. Okay, so I'll use we were talking about earlier that we went to the Napoleon Dynamite event in Athens.
Of course.
And
Liger Partners was representing it.
We did. We had our Vote
event.
For Liger shirts on.
I like
and everything.
I love it.
And so on the way down, and the part of the reason that we did this particular event, yes, is Liger, but we had surpassed our Q4 goals in 2019.
Nice.
So we were doing this as a team event.
I love it. Okay.
So with this event, we rented a stretch limo and took the team, right? And so it was funny because when the event was wrapping up, they asked for Q&A.
Okay.
So I am outgoing.
Okay.
I'm an outgoing person, right? Like we may have sung Bohemian Rhapsody
in the car.
Yes.
I
on the
think
way
if
down.
you're going to road trip, you have to. It's
yes.
a requirement.
There was some air guitar involved.
Yep.
So when Q&A came time for Q&A to go down and talk with the real life Pedro and Napoleon Dynamite,
yes.
I kind of, looking around at my team. And I'm like, all right, looks like it's going to be me. And I knew that.
Yeah.
And it was funny because we were slacking each other, right? Like, what are we going to ask? What are these questions?
All right, wait, you're slacking each other as you're sitting next to each other.
No, I had gone down to get in the line.
I was about to say.
Sorry,
like,
no. I'd gone down to get in line because all we knew is we had to represent, right? So like somebody's going to have to go down there and ask a question. So I was like, all right, fine. I'm going to get in line and then I'll come up with all my questions later.
Okay.
Because a lot of time too, and this happened, is you're standing in line and everybody's kind of got maybe the same question. Anyway. So it was funny because I was slacking them and I said to everyone, I said, you know what? I know I'm really outgoing, but my knees are literally shaking right now, right? Because it's like the adrenaline of like, oh, I'm going to be at the front. I'm going to ask this question. And then I thought to myself, you know what? If I wasn't so outgoing, I wouldn't get myself into these situations. And then my mind went back and said, no, but that's who you are. That's why you are here.
But I think it's okay to be outgoing and still be nervous.
Yes.
Right? But I think the difference is you're outgoing enough to still push past the nerves.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's where I think the edges sometimes, not everybody can do that. Everybody pushes past the nerves.
Well, that's where my mind kind of, as I was going through all these different things, I thought, but you know, if you were not the way that you are, then you wouldn't be where you are.
Right.
So why are you trying not to be the way that you are?
But I'm wondering how much I think it holds us back.
It does.
Because I definitely am more outgoing now.
Yes.
Than I was. So I'll go up and talk to people and say, actually, you know what? In public, I'm probably less extroverted than people would think around strangers. Okay. Like, I don't know. I probably wouldn't have been the one. I'd ask a question if I had a question, but I'm probably not going to be the one going up to somebody in the airport, a famous movie star, and introducing myself.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think my edges are still very rounded out there.
Yeah.
But I think it's just, whether it's personally or professionally, it's putting yourself out there. That's what the whole thing is. The fear of the edges is if I'm too loud, if I'm too quiet, if I don't put myself out there, what is everybody going to think?
Right. Exactly.
And we worry about that more than we worry about doing it. You know, so getting up there, I'm guessing, I mean, you asked your question. So my guess is you weren't worried about what the audience was going to think, or were you?
Yeah. No, not so much. I think in that moment you're more worried about trying to be concise because everyone else has a question, and you want to sound intelligent, and not be all fangirly.
Yeah, that would be my problem. Well, maybe not with Napoleon Dynamite, but I've had a couple of the moments where there were no edges. There was just nothing but mush.
Yeah,
I only had it happen once. One celebrity that happened to forgot my name. Literally forgot. And you're going to you won't even know this. So, all right. So for those of you guys listening who are not a millennial.
Let's see what celebrity.
Okay. Way back in the day. So this was probably early 90s, maybe. Late 80s, early 90s, before you were born. So there was a tennis player named Andre Agassi.
I do remember.
Do you remember?
I know Andre Agassi.
Well, in the day, Andre Agassi had like long hair.
Yes.
And he was so cute. This was before Brooke Shields, before all this stuff. So not that he's not adorable now, but he was like the thing. Well, he came into a restaurant that I was working at.
Okay.
And I was in college, and I was like, and so he was so nice. And he's like, "What's your name?" Not a clue. Did not have a clue. I literally just sat there and went, My friend had to answer. Still didn't know my name. Got ready to leave later that day. Hands were still shaking. Put my keys in the car. I was like, so that was my one fangirl moment. That's the one celebrity there was no fear of edges. There was nothing but mush. I think now I could do it. Yeah. Maybe not with Andre, but if The Rock walked in here right now, totally could introduce myself. That's my biggest fangirl crush right now, I think.
Nice. Okay.
So, but it's, that has nothing to do with fear of the edges, but that was my celebrity.
Yeah.
Mess myself up story.
I think kind of when I go through, it is oftentimes we might fear those edges more based on the position that we're in.
Yes.
And there is not a stigmatism. That's what that's what you get in your eye.
Stigma.
A stigma.
Yeah. So do you think we fear it more higher positions, or look, what do you, where's your head going?
Higher.
Okay.
Because there is that, at least for me, there is that fear of not being taken seriously when I need to be taken seriously. So like I enjoy, and you and I have talked about this offline before, I enjoy, especially once it's celebrating my team, right? Like we went to this thing because they had done so well. Right. And so I wanted everyone to have fun and enjoy the trip, right? Like this is not a work trip. This is an enjoy trip. Yeah. But then we're back to, Friday or Monday, whatever the next day is. And it's time to get back to work and do that again so that we can do that again. So
I think there's a line, so when I talk about fear of the edges, I don't mean crazy off the wall, you probably shouldn't have them edges. like, because you're not, I know you personally, you're not out being this crazy woman
like
on the
we
weekends.
were not doing shots
right
last, at the bar.
We were judging, because I have seen team meetings where they do this.
Yeah.
But
yes, it was Justin Bieber and Queen playing in the stretch limo as we. I think there were some Harry Styles in there.
Harry Styles has got a good new album, so I can understand. My kids.
Watermelon Sugar was as wild as it got last night.
Okay, so all right. So as Whitney is talking about rounding out the edges, please understand that these are not edgy edges. We've got the Biebs and Harry Styles.
Yeah.
No, but I think with a lot of people, especially professionally, because you bring up a good point professionally, there are certain traits that should probably in a professional setting be rounded out.
Right.
But what I think we're getting to, and what the quote was really getting to, is sometimes we're holding ourselves back and we're not letting ourselves be as strong as we want to be, as loud as, because the quote said, you're always going to be too big, too loud.
Yeah.
There's some people that, I'm certainly a big personality, and I didn't really realize I was a big personality until people say you're a big personality. I'm like, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
But I'm always going to be too much. There are going to be some people that can't handle me because I'm very direct. I'm very honest. I'm very into personal growth, so I'm always going to push and challenge people in a caring way.
Right.
But for some people, that's too much. That's too edgy for them, and those just aren't my people.
Yeah.
Nothing, no judgment against them. But professionally, I think you've got to figure out, especially if you have a team reporting to you, what's appropriate, what's not. I try to look at it like if I'm giving feedback or if I'm talking with somebody, what's my spirit behind it? Like, am I really, truly trying to help?
Yeah.
I'm not out just telling people. I'm a little different than, my 10-year-old does not have a fear of the edges. Like she gives feedback, unsolicited, mind you.
Of course,
unsolicited feedback. Yesterday, or not, a couple weekends ago, we were out somewhere and she's giving me feedback about my lashes because she didn't think my lashes looked good. Very loudly in front of like 10 people. And I'm like, that's really probably not feedback we need in the middle of a karate tournament, but go ahead. No, but she doesn't have a fear. She just kind of says whatever pops into that little no filter brain of hers.
Yeah.
But as adults and in professional world, we've got to understand like where there's a time and place to do things. I think the whole point of the quote and not rounding out your edges is just don't be somebody you're not. Like if you're happy and fun, and I've got those friends who just, we go out and they like to dance and they're on the dance floor and they're just, totally nothing inappropriate, nothing bad, but they are just enjoying life. I get out there and I'm like Elaine Bennis from Seinfeld. It is a hot mess, but I kind of hold myself back there because I don't want people to go, who is that fool out there dancing? Right. But that's kind of where it is when you catch yourself, because I know dancing is one of the things. Yeah. And my other thing, which I've told you before, is karaoke.
Yes.
I think I mentioned that's on my bucket list. Petrified to death of doing karaoke, because I'm worried what other people are going to think. So that's what I mean by rounding out the edges, is what things are you holding back from personally and professionally because you're worried what everybody else is going to think.
So in those settings, let's look at then what are signs that you could be crossing that boundary. Like maybe in this particular area you are a little too much.
Yeah. Here's my barometer for it. If you wouldn't do it in front of mom and grandma, probably shouldn't do it.
Oh, I would totally do air guitar in front of my grandmother.
For sure.
It's happened.
Yeah, I know grandma had some good moves. But no, if it's same thing. If something you say, something you do, something you're about to act upon, if you wouldn't be comfortable doing that in front of your mom or your grandma, if you wouldn't be comfortable with your kids knowing about it. Same thing we talk about with text messages. Like people if you have to delete a message.
True. Ooh, that's
it's good. Probably, that's a more of a boundary issue than an edges issue. But if you're doing something that you're having to hide, probably shouldn't be doing it. Okay. And I've been so guilty of that for sure.
Yeah.
And that's where, you kind of look at, it's like, is that really me? And when I say round out your edges, I don't mean being an off the wall crazy person.
Yeah.
I have some off the wall crazy person friends and I love them dearly, but I just mean being you. Not holding yourself back because you're trying to appease someone else.
So what are those ways that, on the flip side where we catch ourselves being too reserved?
Yeah.
If we are, a more strong personality, how do we show up more as ourselves?
I think it's, well, first and foremost, we've got to figure out, we all need to figure out who that person is. Like, I'm definitely a stronger personality now than I was 10 years, 20 years ago. I think I was probably always that person. I'm just growing into it. I'm giving less F's about what people think. So I'm just growing into me. Some people get more outgoing as they get older. Some people get more reserved. Some people prefer to keep to themselves. Some like to travel, whatever it is. I think it's figuring out what really sets you and your heart on fire and what you get excited about. But I feel like earlier in my career, for sure, I would do things and agree to things and go to things because I thought I needed to agree and go, not because I wanted to. So first, if we're going to not, round out the edges, we need to know what we look like, what's really important to us. Because I feel like once you grow into that, then you attract the right people. You're going to find your people if you just can genuinely and authentically be yourself. It's harder to do than it is to say. But I feel like so many people there's a lot of reasons, and we'll talk about some other ones on different episodes. But with this one, with Fear of the Edges, what I see is people are just holding themselves back. So if they're holding themselves back because they're afraid of what people are going to think, they're holding themselves back professionally for sure. I can guarantee you. So if I'm being quiet and not very assertive and not standing up for what I want personally, I'm doing the same thing professionally. So you've got to look at kind of what is that. And once you can find your authentic voice, the right people will come to you. Like I said, I know that I'm, out there and, I try to be positive online. Am I a positive person all the time? Nope, for sure. And I have my close circle that I go to with my challenges and my troubles. I don't share them online. But I'm pretty much, just what you see is what you get. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to try to be uplifting. I'm always going to challenge people to be better. That's just me. And now that I've kind of settled into that, both personally and professionally, and that's the work I do, that's kind of what shows up online and what shows up when you meet me. So the right people are coming in. I was at a party at a girlfriend's house last night, just a little dinner party for a bunch of our friends, and like several of them and two of the moms and grandmoms were there. They're like, we just love following you online. They're like giving me big hugs, and they're like, you're always so uplifting. And I'm like, that just made me smile, because that for me is, and some of my uplifting things are when I'm challenging other people, but you find the right people to respect it. So I feel like in the last decade where I've kind of shown up more of how I am, I've definitely lost some relationships because of that, both personally, professionally, and romantically. Romantic type relationships for sure have gone by the wayside because that person didn't fit the real me, and that's okay. Like, there was nothing. I have zero regrets about that. Like, I'm so much better and feel so much more at peace. Because I was able to just kind of embrace it. Yeah. Took me a while.
So how do we discover that? So like you and I will sometimes say, like, because even I do it right. Like, I'm like, since I've been older when I hit 30.
Yep.
But it's not just a wake up one morning and go, no, I'm 30 and you know what? I don't like this anymore. And I do need to be like this.
Yep.
But there are instances that happen where we say, you know what? I'm not going to deal with that anymore. And then that's another point in time, if you will, that kind of transitions you to that person that you're becoming.
For sure. And it's important to listen to that. So I would say how you do it, first and foremost, and I've said this before, I say it to my clients all the time, if it is not bringing you joy or moving you closer to your goals, it needs to go. Whether it's a person, an activity, an organization, anything, because we spend so much freaking time on things that just aren't for us. We're trying to be all things to all people. That's why I say you're not for everyone. You're not for everything. Because if we spend the bulk of our time on crap that we really aren't meant for us, we have no time left for the good stuff. So the barometer is really, is it bringing me joy? This person, this thing, this activity, and is it moving me closer to my goals? Are there going to be some things that we have to do? Yeah. Laundry does not bring me joy and it's not moving me closer to my goals. However, still have to do it. So I don't mean things like that. I mean the people I'm surrounding myself with, the causes I choose to get involved with, the clients I agree to work with, those type of things. And if we can't say that, I think it's a lot harder to kind of, to kind of move forward. So it's really, that's the first barometer. It's just like, is it do it? The second thing I would say, and this is really big, and I think it's more important for women or more natural for women, it's the gut check. And I've mentioned before on prior episodes, a lot of the bad decisions I made in my life, and some of them were doozies. I had that gut feel that like, ooh, I don't think this is, it was either this isn't me, this isn't right, this person isn't right. I'm getting, in my stomach, I would just get a pit. So we all have these gut feels when we know we're not doing it, but most of us tend to just push it away and not listen to it.
Yeah.
So I would say if you can learn to figure out what's moving you closer and then also learn to figure out the energies and the negativity that's kind of blocking you, that's going to be the big thing.
And what if you're one of those more quiet individuals? Because I know you and I tend to lead toward the
not quiet,
louder side because we tend to be louder. But that's another thing too. Of you have quiet individuals and you have people coming alongside them going, you need to be louder. Yeah. You're just fading into gray. You're fading in the background. Nobody knows you're here.
Yeah.
What do we say to them?
I would disagree with that because I have a lot of people in my circle who are definitely quiet. Just because someone is quiet does not mean they don't have value or they're not speaking up or they can't be an advocate or influencer. They totally can. So it's not about the volume with which you speak. It's about the message you're delivering and the caring and the passion behind it. I just happen to be kind of loud, but what's really funny is if you saw me at an event and you didn't know me, if I was in a group where I didn't know, I would not be the loud one. I'm very comfortable and confident around the people I know. But in a group of new people, I'm probably one of the quieter ones. I'm confident I'll be fine, but I'm not the one jumping on the dance floor.
Right. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But a lot of my guy and girlfriends that are more quiet and reserved, they're phenomenal. And they influence so many people and they just do it with a softer touch. So I would say if people are telling you need to speak up more. Now, if it's a volume issue, that's different. You can talk a little louder. But if it's a matter of your voice, I think you've got to find your voice. You've got to be, not everybody is going to be, an Oprah that's just out there and big personality. They're going to be, quieter people. I would say this, I don't know if you'll agree with this, but Ellen DeGeneres. I don't look at her and think she's this big boisterous person.
I would agree with that.
She's a little more quiet. She's very, from all the interviews I've seen, I've never met her. Ellen, if you want to meet though, I'm open. But you and Portia can come on over, but it's,
we'll come to you.
We'll come to you.
That's right. That's fine.
We can definitely come to you. But I would say in all the interviews I've watched her, she kind of does, I don't want to say take a back seat because she doesn't. She's a big personality, but she delivers her message in such a kind and sweet way that you're not looking at her as this type of person. She's just very, so you can still have a huge, amazing impact on people and your company and the world and not be a crazy person.
Yeah. So. Ooh, that's good.
Yeah. I think it's got a little bit to do with, not a little bit, a lot bit to do with figuring out who that is, who you are as a person and who you want to be.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know that it changes a lot though. I feel like I was probably always me. It's just a matter of figuring out what that looks like and navigating through life. Because I had times, and I've mentioned this, I think one of our recent episodes where, I've had times where people close to me, my dad would say, why are you doing this? Why are you acting dumber? Why are you, being more quiet or more reserved? Because I was trying to fit a mold. And apparently there is not a mold for me. We just broke it. So I think that's it. You break the mold and you just, like it said in the quote, if I make a mistake, I'm going to say I'm sorry. I'm going to own up and I'm going to say I'm sorry. If I hurt somebody's feelings, I will apologize for it. And we all do that. I may say some things where it was too much for somebody, and if it hurt their feelings and it was unintentional, I'm going to apologize.
Yeah.
Till the cows come home. But at the end of the day, you still got to be you.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think people need to do to be more of them?
I've heard a lot about journaling recently, and it's kind of one of the...
Recently? You're just now hearing about journaling.
Well,
all right.
I have explored it more recently.
Okay.
I've heard about it a lot.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where you hear enough successful people talking about it that you think, there might be something there because all these wildly successful people do journaling.
Yep.
So I've took a little bit more of a deep dive into it. So that feels like a process, right?
Okay.
Because there are moments.
And what are you journaling? Is it like a gratitude journal, or are you just journaling about you and who you are, or what?
Yes.
Okay.
More like almost revelations that I discover for myself. Because there are things that happen throughout the day, throughout time.
Yeah.
Where we go, don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
It made me feel this way, and this is why.
Yeah.
But when you're out in the world, you forget that, right? Like somebody says, hey, let's go do this. And you forget to go, oh, that's that thing that I decided I really don't like because of X, Y, Z. But ideally, the practice of journaling is because you're writing it down.
Yep.
That helps you remember it. But not only that, you can go back through and look.
You can see it.
And say, this is why I don't like this thing.
I have a girlfriend from my church group. We just did a retreat last weekend, and she was doing that. She had several journals that she carries with her, and some of them are things that she's read or gotten from other people that were motivational and she wanted to hear, but others were things that she just wanted to be able to remember. You know, like a thought, a feeling, something like that. I think that's a great idea. Because if we can start listening to when we're getting that pull, like this isn't you.
Yeah.
You know, because we've all done that. And those of you guys that are listening that either have teenagers or in your 20s or are in teenagers or in your 20s yourself, you know when you're making those decisions.
Yeah.
You know when we've all done it. We have all done it. There are things, you know, when I was high school, college, last year, that I've done that, you know, you're like, oh, this isn't me. And we do them anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of what it is we're going along with something because we think we're trying to please somebody else.
Right.
So we're trying to be like everybody else.
Right.
The peer pressure thing, I guess.
It's also a good reminder of something that perhaps you worry about often.
Yeah.
Right? Because like I'll even do that, and then I'll go, you know what? You've made it this far.
Yeah.
You've been fine.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Right. I mean, I saw something recently, and we'll close on this, is you've survived 100% of your bad days.
Yeah, right.
Right? All the days that you thought the world was coming
Winning
to an end,
score.
we have survived 100% of our bad days. So regardless of it, it's just show up. But show up is you. Because the people I know that are the happiest, the people I know that are the most successful, whatever success means to them, whether it's relationally, financially, what have you, they're all people who are unapologetically themselves, and they're not trying to round out the edges just to appease other people.
It's good.
I think it's good. All right. All right. So we're going to practice. We're going to practice not rounding out the edges. I don't think you and I'll have a problem with this, but
We'll be fine.
everybody else listening, find something that you're doing. Figure out who it is that you're trying to please that's not yourself, and what it is you're holding back from. So if you want to be louder, be louder. If you want to be softer, whatever it is, make sure that you're doing things for you so you're not rounding out the edges. So until next time, keep pushing past those limits.